And it's just like, damn it, you know, like the feeling you'll get from one person versus the feeling you'll get from someone. It's like you now temper like who you share your excitement with and how you share your excitement, right? And and there's sometimes where you're able to adjust and be like, I'm still going to share it. I understand that like I have to temper my expectations, right? Versus I'm going to share it with these people because I want to get back what I know I need to fuel my energy and my fire. This is exciting. And for me, it's because they don't know. They don't, like, I remember when I opened for Chris Rock, my mom was like, I was like, it's Chris Rock.
It's a big deal.
It's huge. But like my mom literally was a nurse for 27 years, has 2 knee surgery. You know what I mean? Like, just like all she watched was Channel 7 News. So Chris Rock means
who
nothing.
Are these people? Yeah.
It means nothing to her, right? But it wasn't until my cousin told her, like, Auntie, no, this is a huge deal. Like, this is major. And then, you know, she got to Googling, and then, you know, right before I went, it was like, so you're opening for Christopher Rock? And I was like, yeah, okay. He is
not his government's name.
No, in fact, he is a actor, comedian. Like, she was reading his Wikipedia page, and I was like, okay. You know what I mean? But it was cute, and it was endearing, and it was like, this is the best that she can do. And this, I can't really ask too much more of her. So, no, I don't think, I was never in it to be like, see, I told you so. But I think the part that bothered me is like when I would bring up, like, you know, like, it was hard, and, you know, there were times when you guys said this or that. And we never said that. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, guys.
You did.
I'm not, like, why would I lie? You know, like, why would I make this up? Because it's just that, like, selective understand. Like, well, we would never. I'm like, literally the reason I went to therapy. Like, I'm not gonna make this one up, guys. You know, but it's that thing of like, oh no, like, we don't want her to be mad, or like, we don't want to look like we said bad things. But it's just like, it's okay. Nobody, like, no one. It's the inability for Nigerians to show our imperfections. And that's the thing that I think that's really...
Or emotions.
It's really problematic in this country. Like, even when I have Nigerian, they carry last tatted on my arm, but I'm like, but a lot of times we carry last, though. we carry second, we carry fourth, we carry 10th, you know what I mean? But it's just like, we will never carry last, but we have so many times carried last. And I understand the sentiment, but the 2 things can be true. At some point, we can be like, you know what? We're not doing really well in this area. And, you know, that's an area that we actually should give attention to. But in this other area, we're killing it, you know. But that takes vulnerability. That's even in relationships. If you tell a guy, like, if you say, like, man, some of these men, they are rubbish. No, not all men. And it's like, I didn't say all men. I didn't, you know, it's just like, but you have friends that you know are rubbish friends. But I mean, the way you're saying it is as if it's. But you have friends. 2 things can be true. You have friends that you know are rubbish friends. And you yourself have been rubbish at times. Like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but can you, in your vulnerability, accept that, like, you've had not great moments, but then there are other good qualities. But the thing about it is we throw baby bathwater tub, we throw the whole thing away.
You bassinet.
In fact, the baby died. just like everything is gone. Like, there's no version of. I mean, we get that from our parents. You know, even me. It's like I had been I like to call it the good Nigerian girl. Like, I mean, everything. I didn't date boys. I was still not having sex. I was going to church. I had straight A's. All of the things. Blah blah blah. I mean, you line it up. I did not give you any problems. I deviate one wrong from the plan. We never knew you. It was like, wait.
This girl wants to kill us.
So, exactly. If I die to my mom's story, if I die today, even on that long one, it's like, you killed me. It's like, wait, really? And it was like all those other things were like, it was like the account was wiped to 0. And it was like, whoa, so character doesn't matter, you know. Love for you all, like faith, the faith that we go to church. This is your fault. You took me to church, and I believe God. Like that, like, so, you know, none of that was on the table as, you know, like something salvageable.
Yeah, it's done. I get you.
Yeah,
makes sense.
It's like how Nigerian friends. If you marry this man, you are cut off. I was like, wait, really? Just this is it? We will never see
after all these years
in this village again. I was like, wow. So when I took care of you when you were hot, when I
Doesn't matter anymore.
one thing, and it's actually a problem. It's very traumatic. Like, we laugh about it, but it's actually the thing that keeps so many people stifled. You know, I know so many people that could be amazing creatives, that could be living.
I don't want to offend the.
But it costs so much. I remember, and this is something I had to like learn, but like, you know, my decision cost me 7 years with my family in terms of like actually having a meaningful relationship, you know.
Because it didn't make sense to them.
It didn't make sense to them. You know, I told them to give me 8 years to make it, because that's how long it would take me to go to med school and residency. And Jesus did it in 7. We thank God.
Go.
But every conversation was very surface. You know, hey, my happy Mother's Day. How can it be happy? What? How can? You know, it's just like,
you're loafing around out there.
Okay. Well, gotta go, Mom. Bye. You know? Merry Christmas. What is merry about it? Is Santa Claus giving you something new to do in your life? It's like, okay, well, I have to go now. This is great. You know, so every conversation was it was like walking on landmines, right? And that cost something. For me, I was like, I would rather take a 7-year deficit knowing that like the possibility on the other side of that
was explored.
Because I have a chapter in the book that's called Fear is Food Poisoning, but Regret is Herpes. And it's very visceral because, you know, food poisoning, you just throw it up and you feel better. And you're like, God, I'm so glad I pushed past that, you know. Herpes, yes, you can like take medication to...
But it's dear.
Always. It's laying dormant. And then it's when you now see somebody living in your dream house, married to your dream person, driving your dream car. Hey, the flare-ups that will come in your life in the form of regret, in the form of jealousy don't come, in the form of I hate it here, the form of depression, like it's dormant. And I would rather have food poisoning because I know that's temporary. Regret can sometimes be permanent. You can still live a good life. It's not saying that your life is over.
But it's there.
But it's there. The thought of like, this person is no more special than you. They just kept going. They just said, maybe there's something better. Maybe. You know what I mean? And so for a lot of people, though, my therapist had to tell me, he was like, you know what your problem is? You think just because you did the hard thing that other people can do it too. And I was like, yeah, but if the benefits are there, it's kind of like, I know like faith for me is one of those things where I think when you have been by yourself and when you've been bullied and when you've been already ostracized, like there's no way to go but up. Faith for me, the hard thing for people to do with faith was like the easiest thing for me to do, which was like, so all I have to do is trust God, take him at his word. And then there are all these blessings that are supposed to be attached to it. Okay, so why are you people complaining? Like, I just was like, let's go. Like, for me, it was like, it took the pressure off. Because one thing I would say, even when the journey got hard, I said, God, one of us is a liar. One of us is lying because you told me you would do this. I don't see it. So if you the one, show up. If you not, then like, let me go home. One of us is a liar. And it was just like that ferventness of like, I'm not playing these games with you, fam. Like, I gave you my all. I went all in. Either show up or like, let me go home and apologize. What are we doing? And that, like, I just had that gangsterness of just like, this is pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you at your word, and one of us is a liar.
You know, let's get to that point, you know, where things sort of change for you. I've seen your story a lot about how you got into comedy. Mm-hmm. You were in a pageant. You had to come up with a talent, and you realized you were funny, and then you went with this. I mean, we met in 2010.
Mm-hmm. I had started in 2006. Yeah,
in Washington D.C. I was trying to call it like, you know, in D.C. I think it was Jetty, mm-hmm. the comedian who had a show. There was Julia Sago, Basket Mouth, Shay Brown.
He's getting me drunk.
I never do that. And you were there.
Uh-huh.
So that was 12 years ago. How long had you been doing comedy at that point?
4 years.
So that was your fourth year?
Yeah, well, 2006, and that was 2009. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was the point where you were still trying to...
I mean, D.C., Maryland is a very small market.
Yeah.
And I did a lot...
You had to move to New York at this point?
I was just about, like, I moved to New York in 2009 and came back and then was moving to New York in 2010.
Yeah.
So I maybe had just, like, actually moved. Yeah.
So were you sort of doing a lot of stuff with, like, the Nigerian community?
Yeah, they're the ones who paid my bills for a long time. So
At the
I thank
time,
you. God bless all of you people who hired
Like Nigerian parties, Nigerian events?
Nigerian parties, African fashion shows, weddings. I was hosting all the weddings. There's somebody now that has a picture of me at their wedding. Like, yeah. So, hi. I hope you guys had fun. Yeah, so I hosted a lot of weddings. You know, in fact, when Issa saw me performing, this is, you know, I write in the book about doing what you are going to do, because whoever needs to see you will see you. You know, I wasn't, when I moved to LA and even when I moved to New York, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for me to perform at big comedy clubs. They didn't know me, and it's like, you know, they had bringer shows, and I've only brought myself. So, you know, it was hard. But then I stuck to, okay, well, you know what? I'll do the Black Nights at some clubs, and then I'll just do African stuff. So Issa actually saw me hosting an African fashion show.
When?
15, actually, no, wait, let me go back. Before I moved to Liberia, this was 2009. This is right, 2008, right before Obama was elected. I shot a video called Obama's Long Lost African Relative. And I was like, you know, if Obama wins, Africans from everywhere are going to come out the woodworks. Talking about, Obama's my brother. He's my brother's sister's uncle's cousin's, you know, like daughter's son. And so I pretended to be like a long lost relative showing up at the Oval House and like, Obama, open the door for me. So I released that video, and this was like the first YouTube I had ever released. It was still very new. And then I hopped on a plane literally the next day because I happened to be at a Nigerian wedding. And so, you know, you have the garb on and everything. So I was like, this would be perfect. So I hopped on a plane and I went to Liberia, didn't think anything of it. A1 Issa Rae, who I didn't know at the time was Senegalese. She's half Senegalese. So she watched that and was like, yo, this reminds me of so many of my aunts. And became a fan of mine. This is 2008. I didn't even know, like, all I knew was I had just got my master's degree and I was going to Liberia post-conflict. And so then I didn't move to LA until 2012. Met Issa then. I believe the fashion show I hosted was 2013 or early 2014. Insecure didn't happen until 2015.
So you guys were friendly?
We were friendly, yeah. I mean, we were two black girls in LA trying to make it. You know what I mean? Like, somebody told me about Awkward Black Girl in 2012, and I like just downed all of it, and then hit her up on Twitter and was like, "Hey, girl, we should meet." but because she had been a fan of mine since 2008, she was like, "Yeah, we should."
So sorry to cut you in. Before this, comedy was your life. Were you thinking of acting at any
I was
point?
only thinking of, I was actually using comedy as my
So acting was the ultimate goal?
Acting wasn't my ultimate goal until
Right.
I met Chris Rock, and he was like, "Comedy's not a gateway drug. Comedy's heroin." I was like, "I don't do drugs, Mr. Rock."
So I don't understand these references.
This analogy is making me uncomfortable. He was like, basically, he was saying like, you never give up comedy because
it's always,
you will always have it. All you need is literally one mic, and your fan base will be there. But like. Acting, you can be great at it. There's so many things that go into it. Like, he's like, but comedy, he's like, your crowd will find you. They'll always come out for you. And I was like, oh, that's good. Good advice. But comedy scared me. You know what I mean? Again, going back to the Heidi story, I was always, when you're bullied, it's like, God bamboozled me.
Does it still scare you?
Absolutely. I lean into it. There are a lot of things that scare me that I do anyway. I do it scared. When you're bullied, it's like God had to have me go through this path. Like, God had a purpose, and the devil was like, well, if I cut her off at 12, she'll never fulfill it. You know, like he did a good, like he tried. He did a really good job trying to cut me off. But the God that we serve, he's superior. you know, like, devil, you have been knocked down. But it was this constant battle inside of me. I know I have a purpose, and I know that, I mean, my name means Archer of Happiness, daughter of a king. Like, I'm supposed to like spread joy everywhere I go. And then there's this thorn that keeps me near the cross. So you have a fear of rejection because you have been rejected most of your life. And then God says, I'm going to put you on a stage where you will now have a microphone and a platform so everyone can hear your voice. Yes, but God, they can also reject my voice. Yeah, well, let's just see. Let's just try it. Let's just try it. And, I think that is the bamboozlement of it all, because it would have been really easy for me to be like, no, I'm good on this. You got to do it another way. Do it another way. And he was like, no, the thing that you didn't have for so long, which was a voice, when you said like you weren't seen, I'm going to make sure the spotlight is on you.
So when you got Insecure, you had no professional acting.
Comedy was
your thing.
Everything was.
And I hear you auditioned without an agent.
No agent.
Did Issa tell you about it, or how did you hear about it?
So it came out on Deadline in the trades, right? HBO picks up Issa's thing, and because we had each other's number. It was like, girl, congratulations. At this point, though, I had it was announced like maybe 2014, but we didn't start till 2015, like July, August. And I had my breakdown in 2014. So I was like 5 seconds from going home. I was like, I'm tapping out. This is crazy. I have a family that can feed me. And I gave God my ultimatum. I was like, I'm going to give you one more shot. It would be in your best interest to come through unless I'm leaving. And that's when I started doing.
Do you threaten God often?
I don't threaten him often. That's why when I do, it makes impacts. That's my basic girl laugh. I'm done. After this one, we're finished. I don't threaten him often, but when I do, he perks up for sure. And then he checked me. He was like, "Girl, I did everything I told you I was going to do. You the one that hasn't listened because I was afraid." He gave me the idea for a show called First Gen. And I was like...
No, you're working on that now. Go on.
Yeah. But I had, I didn't think I was a writer. There was all these things where I put roadblocks and, God says do this. And you're like, yeah, but God, I don't have this and I'm not this. And, people go to school for this. And who am I? I just got here. And so I just kind of pushed it off to the side. The minute I got you can maybe change this. I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not gonna do that. I get it. I'm not gonna even touch it. And so I started making money doing other people's stuff, and then other people's stuff ended, and then the money also ended.
Now you have to wake up.
And so then I gave my ultimatum, and I went balls to the wall. Like I was like, if you've ever seen a madman or mad woman, that's what I was. Like I was fast. Like when I tell you fasting and praying, I was the skinniest I've ever been in my life. But it was just this. I don't you cannot tell me no. If you told me no, I asked the wrong person. So please move out the way, because at this point your fight is with Jesus, and I don't know where the lightning is coming. So you should move out the way. I was mad. Nothing was going to stop this production. To the point where I had $0 and the production company was like, it'll cost $7,000 to shoot the trailer. I was like, okay. Well, first they told me 10, and I was like, well, I don't have that. And she was like 7. I was like, I still don't have that, but that's better than 10. And one day my neighbor just out of nowhere gave me $1,500. And I was like, what? I was like, where were you when I needed rent money? And then $3,000 got wired from Nigeria to LA, and it was not a scam. And I was like, the Lord that we serve, the Lord that we serve. And I was just like seriously, in the final hour, things were working out. So I shot the trailer. So the trailer actually happened to be my first audition tape, right? So when Issa's talking to the producers, because remember, she had seen me perform at the fashion show, and that was when she was like, "This girl reminds me of my best friend Megan, who Molly is based off of." When they were creating Insecure, there was no Molly. It was Issa Rae's show. And then I think in the development process, she talked about, her group of friends. And then the network was like, well, I think that let's explore that. And I'm doing my own thing. In the interim, all of this is happening. So God is literally shifting the story to make room for my character. And so I shoot the trailer. It gets released. David Oyelowo and I don't know if you know her, Oprah Winfrey sign on. Just humble
sounds
brags.
familiar.
Just humble brags. No shaking. It's just a, normal.
We're proud of you. You're doing well.
It's a normal Tuesday thing.
I mean,
dropping a one Oprah Winfrey's name like that. And this was pre-Molly, so I was a no-name somebody is what I like to call myself. Because even though you didn't know my name, my mom knew my name. Jesus knew my name. Somebody knew my name. And so Issa, so like my friend, Chichi Anyanwu, who I lived with in New York, who was a casting director, hit me up and was like, hey girl, they're casting this Insecure show. And I was like, what? So I hit up Issa and I was like, girl, y'all casting, congratulations. And she was like, yeah, I didn't think you'd be interested since, you got first, because at this point, like first gen trailer was kind of getting viral. She's like, yeah, I didn't think you'd be interested since you got first gen. I said, girl, nobody has paid me any money to do this show. Where do I come? And she was like, well, who submits you? And I was like, I don't know
how this works.
Like, I had no agent, I had no manager, and like Chi couldn't submit me. And so so a friend of mine worked for a management company. And so there's this thing where it's called hip pocketing, right? They don't represent you, but they will submit you. If you happen to book, you give them 10% for like a period of time. Yeah. And so that's exactly what I did. And I was like, can you submit me for this thing? Like, but it was already like, if I knew better now, I would be like, I don't know, maybe I would have just been like, I don't really have anyone to submit to me, or I'd just find a lawyer to submit me, because it was just, it was one of those, when you don't know, you don't know. But anyway, he submitted me. And the good thing is I'm always very resourceful. So it was like, I had friends in the industry that I could be like, okay, so what's normal? Like, I didn't even know what a normal go. I was poor. And so any amount that HBO was paying me, I was like, I think this is good.
This makes sense.
When I tell you, me and my roommate were splitting salads, poor. So that was going to Bali. We are not the same poor. And so, I had friends who were able to guide me and be like, okay, ask for this maybe, and see if they have it, like negotiating. Cause like the guy wasn't my real manager, so he didn't know. And this was like a huge project on a huge network, and I don't know that he had negotiated in this way before. So anyway, that's how it came to pass. And Issa was able to show the other producers the first gen trailer and be like, well, she kind of like me in the YouTube space. Like, I created something from scratch. She created something from scratch. Like, yes, she doesn't have a lot of acting experience, but look at what she's done. Let's at least give her a chance. And I think they were kind of like, girl, you the one that they giving a chance. Like, you're bringing other people onto you are as new comes. And it would be in our best interest to like put you around seasoned people, experience, you know what I mean, so that like we all look good. But Issa was like, so I did 5 auditions, and Prentice Penny, our showrunner, was very honest in saying that I did not have I had a good first audition with just Vicky Thomas, our casting director. And so she was kind of like, well, who are you? I said, hey, girl, because, I'm a comedian. So I was able to find the humor and the heart in the character. So of the 5 auditions I did, I was with the executive producers 4 out of 5 of those times. So on my second audition, but my first audition with the producers, Prentice said, yeah, I found my notes on you, and the reality is like you didn't have a good first audition with us, and we had another girl that was our favorite, but the difference was each time you came in, you kept giving us something different. You kept evolving, and we all thought like, if she can do this with no direction, imagine when she has writers and directors and producers to help her, make a choice. And that's how I got the job. So they were like, literally, there was one girl that was better than you, but she plateaued. Like she stayed the same, which was good when we started. And, if we only had one audition, it might have been her. But like out of the 5 auditions, you just kept growing and evolving and giving us something different. Yeah. And, one of those auditions I talk in, there's a Insecure documentary. And I talk about how I had to decide between paying my cell phone bill and, taking a private acting class. And I was like, if this will help me
Get the job.
Here's my money. And if I end up booking this job and my phone is cut off, I hope they send me an email because they're not going to be able to reach me. But those are the that's how crazy I was at this time.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we have to take those risks. We have to do the stuff that's not sexy, that's not popular. I don't have time to film. I don't have time to film. Like, it got to the point, like, even after I was successful, I was telling my friend, it was like season 1, I paid off all my debts. I was broke again. I was like, oh my God. Like, because I was like...
After season 1?
Yeah, I was...
Sorry, how much were you earning at hosting weddings?
Oh, I'm not going to... I was like, what? Huh? I was...
When you were hosting, like, emceeing at
Well, there were
weddings.
different packages, because you can get the silver...
Packages?
Oh, yes. You can get the gold, silver, or platinum package, depending on what you want. The gold is just like a 15-minute comedy set. I think the silver was like a 30-minute comedy set during like dinner, and then the platinum was hosting and comedy. Everything, the whole shebang. Hey, suits, shoe, I'm back. And so I went broke again after season 1, and then season 2 was like my re-up season. But then, you know, like when you, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if you've ever been poor, but when you have been poor, you are just, these numbers don't seem real. So you're just like watching it, and I was afraid.
Like, is this me?
I was like, okay, is this going to go at any time? It's kind of like God has ushered you into the promised land, and like, any moment now you ask for it back. It's like, I was the person with 2 talents, and I was like, I'll hide it. And so it was very scary. And so I lived the same life I had lived before I had booked the job. So I stayed in the same apartment. I drove
just in case.
Just because this was new. Like, no one prepared. Everyone tells you you will make it. They prepare you for being an actor. No one prepares you for success. There's actually no one prepares you. What do you do? Like, how are you supposed to be like, I move very, very chill. People don't even know. Like, people don't even know that I'm here. People don't know I'm here. People don't know I'm me. Like, I just like, I'm, and it's not even because I'm like trying. I think they're so taken aback that I'm like, hey girl, how you doing? You look beautiful. And they're like, well, are you Yvonne Orji? I'm like, hey girl, you look beautiful. Like, receive the compliment and let me go my way. Like, because I'm very regular. And so I was still driving my Nissan, like my 19.
After season 1.
Season 2? What are you talking after season 1? We're in season 2. Okay?
And you were still driving your motor?
Nissan. No, it was a Honda Civic. It was a 2-door Honda Civic that I had bought. That story is also in the book. You should read it. When God bamboozled me into buying the car, and it had a cracked windshield. And so I'm showing up on the Sony lot. And the casting assistant, not the casting director, not the associate, the casting assistant looked at me and was like, hey girl, I mean, I think you're doing good now. You should probably
This car is not working.
I was like, wait, what? He was like, I really feel like you got it. Like,
let's stop this.
I know the kind of contracts we give out. Like, you good. And I remember Jay, my co-star who plays Lawrence, we were neighbors, and one day my mom was actually coming. This is so my mom came to the premiere, and I'm still in my same apartment, and Jay literally hops the fence to get into my apartment, and he was like, I think it's time you move. Like, this is not even safe. This is like I'm in your house. And I was like, give me a minute. So I didn't like move or anything till like after season 4. Like, I was just very smart. I was just like, you know what? Let me save. Let me save. And because I know like God, like it was only God that was like, let me take you from an apartment to a house. Like, most people were like, oh, apartment to another apartment, paying double. And it was like, no, I need like down payment money, you know? And so it was just, but it just took a long time, you know? I know people who tricked off after season 1, and I was like, you don't know what it was like when we were sharing salads. So no. No.
Did you want Insecure to end?
I knew it was ending, and I knew
you knew before. Yeah, you knew it was going to be the last one.
Mm-hmm. Issa was very honest with what she wanted.
But did you want it to end?
No, I didn't want it to end, but I understood why she wanted to end, and I also am glad it's done.
Why are you glad?
I'm glad because we ended it how we wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, we ended it on her terms, and there's such a power in being able to go out while you're still loved. You know, sometimes people will say they're welcome, and then it's like people are, you know, it's kind of like.
But there's also something about, you know, milking it as much as you can. Or maybe not milking is not the good word. I mean, if people like something, why stop it?
But that's how people get overweight. You know, that's how people get very overweight.
That's also how great things are created.
But it was already created. It's like, it exists. You know, and so now it's like, it's kind of like. You're at so Knock is one of my favorite restaurants while I'm here, and so it's like, it's so good. You get the menu, you get like a tasting, and it's like, oh, it's so good, it's so good. And then there's that moment where you're like, should we order another?
Just another.
And then you order it.
You know, like
and
we should.
Like, now the thing that was good, you were just fine. Now your stomach hurts. Now you have to like stay up 2 more hours for the food to digest before you go to sleep. And it's just like, dang, it went so quickly from like, yo, this is so good, we want more, and then it's like, this thing, then this is no good anymore. The recipe was still there. Nothing changed. It's just your appetite for it. You know what I mean? And so I think one thing that I think we're all proud of is that we're able to look back and be like, yo, we did that.
You think it's going to come back?
It's not coming back. Issa, hello. Have you met Issa? Issa does not care about y'all's feelings. She's doing 18 other shows. But I think too, it was a perfect bow. You know what I mean? Especially like shooting in a pandemic is not easy. It super sucked that our final season was a pandemic season. I mean, it wasn't great. I can't lie to you. And it's not how she wanted to go out. We're a show that really shows South LA. We're in the neighborhood.
But there's a lot you couldn't do.
We want to do big parties, and they're like, COVID wants to shut you down. It's like, dang it. You know, so we couldn't really do a lot of things that we wanted to do. And so it's like, well, you now, like, I don't want to have to, she didn't want to have to compromise the vision. And I think she wanted to tell a story from start to finish. And she always says, like, she's like, I didn't want the people who had given me their lives, you know, for 5 years or 6 years to like start resenting me because they want to do other things. It's like, I want to do this movie, but that's when we shoot. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I don't think we didn't ever feel like that. But that's just, Issa's a beautiful human, and I feel like every creative should learn from her.
Are you as close as we think you are?
That's my boo. You know what I mean? But Issa also has like friends that she has known since middle school.
Because everybody was so like gutted that you were not on her train. We're like, where is Molly?
What train?
On this brighter train. I know, don't worry. We saw the pictures.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know there's this pact where it's supposed to be a photo shoot. But it's just like, you know, why is Molly not on this train? Don't worry. Your drinking is even giving it away more.
This is so good.
Anyway. So you've been acting now for how long? Professionally?
Not counting stand-up, since 2014.
Oh, nice. So that's about 8 years, give or take. Of course, your parents' opinion has changed. They can now see the vision board.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are, I'm trying to look for the right word now. I don't want to use accepted enough because, I mean, considering how you started, you didn't have an agent. For those of us on the outside, it just kind of looks like, okay, it happened. You know, do you feel like Hollywood has seen Yvonne Orji and is like, yes, she's authentic enough to be one of us? Because whether you like it or not, Hollywood is it a bubble? I want to say now, but it's cracking it is a whole conversation. Do you think you're there?
Oh, I'm not at all. I haven't scratched the surface of where I know I'm going to go. I mean, I'm grateful for this head start that I have gotten.
Yeah. Which you pulled up great, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, for people to hate Molly, it means you did a great job. For like 2 seasons, we were trying to look for Molly to kill her.
But then in the last season, you were like, Molly's gone. So oh my God. Look at growth. That's what happens when you elevate. Like, like we love this for her. Yes, I saw your tweets. Again, I said, God bless all of you people. And in the way of like, yo, we have transcended. Like, I'm doing the work. I'm healing the hurts of the past. Like, I'm I'm a free black girl. And that is so potent and so powerful to say and to stand in. And I think that only dictates what I do from here on out.
What are your thoughts on Nollywood?
And what's that?
Are you a fan?
Of some of it, yes.
Which some? Or which ones?
I think, I actually was a fan of like the old Nollywoods that would take place in the village, and you saw
very cultural ones.
Very cultural, and you saw like why people did what they did. And for me, because it exposed me to like culture in a different way. It was funny, it was zany, it was very broad, but it was like, I get it. Like these people are making decisions maybe because they're desperate, or maybe because culturally they have no way out, or whatever. And then here's the thing. I really think for what the industry is, it has penetrated beyond Nigeria. I mean, like, you go to Brooklyn and there's African Americans getting their hair braided, like, yo, put in part 5, whatever. And then it just penetrated Netflix to the point where it's like, yo,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Like, so, it's kind of like when people hate on like Tyler Perry, and it's like, yeah, but he doesn't become Tyler Perry if his stuff is not watched by somebody, and if his audience is not finding him and clamoring to like make him a billionaire. Like, you know what I mean? Like he there is a market, and I would like to say it's kind of like the same way some people like fast food, the same way some people like sushi, the same way some people like, there is an appetite for all of it. Yeah. So what I love is that it exists, and I think that all parts of it needs to exist. The traditional ones, the ones that are made in 2 days, the ones that have, a budget of 500,000, the ones that have a budget of $1 million. Like, I think they are all supposed to exist. I think sometimes we can quality control things to death, but I do think that there needs to be some level, like what is the standard, right? And because no matter what, there's still a standard, right? In the States, you have like people who do only indies. And so it's like, we know what the standard for indies are supposed to look like or feel like, or what they are. Shorts have a standard. If it's more than 12 minutes long, then it's not considered a short. You know what I mean? Like, or 15 minutes long. So everything has a standard. So I think for me, it's what the industry, I'm curious to see what the industry looks like when it is standardized, or I don't know if you guys have unions here, if it's unionized. I don't know what the correct term is, where there is now like a base. Even in Hollywood, it's kind of like there's still a base. Even if you want to do a low budget production, there is still a base. There's actually guidelines on like what a low budget production must have at a minimum. And so I don't know if that exists here in Nollywood, but
I mean, there are unions, but yeah, I think I get your point.
Yeah, and so
whether it's standardized sort of.
Yeah, and one thing I don't.
Are you proud of Nollywood though? Because you're Nigerian, you're very proudly Nigerian.
Listen, if it's Hollywood, Nollywood, and Bollywood as the 3 like largest markets, like, what is there not to be proud of? You know what I mean? Like, it is doing and feeding a population of people now. But again, it's that thing of like, okay, is there more? Like, what are the different stories? Because it's not also just like, and I'm not saying that this is what Nollywood is doing. It's not also just like, let's do the American version of, let's do the Western version of this. Because where I am now in my career is that I'm actually looking for African stories to tell and to highlight and to bring to the U.S. market in new and fresh and riveting ways. So whether they be romantic comedies, whether they be, dramas, whether they be limited series or whatnot, I'm looking for African stories to really tell, because there's a huge market. I mean, we're everywhere. If one in every 3 people is Nigerian, you know us, right? And so I think the industry is doing kind of like what Nigeria does. It survives. It thrives with whatever
in spite of,
right? You're kind of like, Lagos is mad. It thrives. in spite of, you know what I mean, the lack of regulation, in spite of the lack of infrastructure, in spite, like we are still here, we are still standing. So like, of course, I'm proud of the fact that we're even able to be part of the discussion. You know, when I check the trades and I see, you know, distribution deals with Amazon and film houses out of Lagos, or with Netflix and film houses out of Lagos, I'm like, yo, Nigeria to the world. Like, it makes me so happy.
Do you work with Nigerians?
I do. Oh my God.
Would you intentionally work with like Nollywood people?
I intentionally do. I intentionally work with Nigerian-Americans, depending on what story it is.
Nigerians in Nigeria. I
work with Nigerians in Nigeria to be like help with producing.
Okay.
And collaborate depending on, my thing is like, if I have access to them and I have a relationship with them, because for a lot of the projects that I'm working on, we do need boots on the ground, and we do need like trusted allies that can tell us like, what's the best way to shoot? Like, what's like, bleed? Like, we're trying to bring money here, but the problem is we're trying to bring money here, and like the infrastructure isn't here, you know, or like it's double, and they're just like, well, we can't. Like, this doesn't make any sense, you know what I mean? And so like that's actually the frustrating part, because the announcements will come, but the projects I have in the pipeline, most of them are like, how do we bridge the gap? Is there a Nigerian, like, I mean, literally, I'm asking my agents, like, Nigerian writers, Nigerian directors, like, we are going deep. Yeah. And then it's just like, if we shoot it in Nigeria, it's going to cost us triple than going somewhere else and cheating it for Nigeria. This is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy, you know?
I hear that a lot. So it's not unusual.
But
are there any, this is just an aside, any actors that excite you? No.
Ebuka, are you saying that you want to be in one of my productions? Just say it's...
I'm not an actor, but if you ask nicely, yes.
So you all will never see Ebuka in any of my productions. I think there's a lot of talent, you know, and I think it's just... I think there's a lot of new talent too. You know what I mean? It's kind of like every generation has a new like crop of actors. You see it even in the States. It's like, you know, it's crazy that 92 was such a long time. So, you know, when we see actors from like 227 or Fresh Prince or Martin, and you're like, oh my God, like, you're not old, but but
you've been part of my life.
Yeah.
Like 3 decades.
And then now there's a new crop of actors that like you guys actually paved the way for. And so I actually am excited to discover a new wave. Like, you know, I'm excited to discover new actors who, you know, may not be getting that much shine here or in the States. And it's just like giving them a platform. There's something you can do with like raw talent that, you know, you can give to them, but they can also give to you in a new way. Like, you're like, I didn't even know. Oh, that's dope. Wow, look what they did.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, each one reach one. Yeah. And, you know, part of my calling and part of my desire is to, like, put people on the same way that I was put on. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to First Gen. Congratulations and all. You're really busy. I mean, Insecure is over, but you are very busy. You're doing My Mom, His Dad or something.
My Mom, Your Dad.
My Mom, Your Dad, yeah. Which is a reality show about single parents or something. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, single parents whose
you're
children...
You're doing First Gen. You're working on First Gen. You're doing a lot of stuff. And
my second special is coming out, which is going to be like a sketch, an African sketch.
Is this the Momma I Made It too?
It's not going to be called Momma I Made It too. I don't know what it's going to be called yet. I actually don't have the title for it.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited because, again, that's...
Is that what you're doing? Answer that.
No, it's not what I'm doing in Atlanta, but it is what I'll be doing very soon. But it's one of those things where, like, I found young Nigerian talent that don't have agents, that don't have managers, that I'm a fan of, that make me laugh. And I'm like, okay, what do we do? What do we do with them? And it's just like... Use this platform wisely, boo, because like I can only alley-oop, and this is up to you to slam dunk it. You know what I mean? And everyone you help won't be great, but that doesn't stop you from helping other people. So,
well done, man. Looking forward to everything. First Gen's coming.
Yes.
My Mom, Your
Dad. Bamboozled by Jesus is being.
We are going to talk about the book. I was asking about your career, which is going great. But you don't like to talk about your love life a lot.
This is the last question.
But you talk about your virginity. Or do you get asked about that more?
I think
what exactly is it?
I think I get asked about it more, but I don't really talk about either one because it's just like, it's not. Sometimes people make it the thing about me, and I'm like,
conversation.
It's not, yeah, I'm like, I'm so much more than that, as you can see.
Do you think it would have been a thing if you didn't make it a thing? Talking about the virginity now.
I mean, I think for me, it was kind of like the same way, I'm Nigerian. You know what I mean? Like, it's like people are okay with like, she likes jollof rice, but it's like, she's a virgin. Which one is that one? Who told her that? It's just like, but wait a minute. You know what I mean? So I actually think we need to talk about sex more in a real way, because it's like I've been having these conversations where I'm like, I think the church and culture fails a lot of people when it comes to the sex conversation, because even though I'm not having sex, I was like, there's so much more that happens in between that no one's talking about. No one's talking about what it means to be a sensual being. What do you do when you get horny? What do you do? You know what I mean? Like when you tell your wife,
what do you do when
your
you
daughter,
get horny?
what do you do when you tell your daughters to, just get married by 25? It's like, they don't even know themselves. Like what, like our moms having the conversations of like what intimacy looks like. Well, they are not having that conversation because they like half the time they don't know what intimacy looks like. You know what I mean? And so I feel like there needs to be less shame around the topic of sex and less like bravado, like, I'm Bado, I just take the girls down. It's like, nigga, you haven't even pleasured a woman. Like, she's been faking it, and so it's just like, I feel like there's just such a huge chasm, even in church and even in culture. And it's like, well, who is supposed to, when it's like, well, the church can't talk about that and the parents can't talk about it. So then who does? Yeah. Who does talk about it? And I'm like, and I'm somebody that like, I took the bait. Like, I'm not doing it, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that like we can't have real, honest conversations that don't make people squirm or be like, because look around. Most people are doing it, So
has it been harder over the years or easier to stay, chaste or celibate?
I don't know if it's been harder or easier. I mean, obviously. Your options expand when you're on television. But I think I actually, for me, my God, it's been a blessing. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm in a very male dominated environment, especially in comedy. And so it's like when you do go on the road, when you do go on tours, like, I don't have to worry about nobody's wife. Like, nope, not interested in your boyfriend, not interested in your husband, not like it's actually been like a protectant. And so I think part of me is like even being vocal about it, like protected me, and like I'm safe. Like, listen, you want them to be on tour with me. You know what I mean? So I think that has been a blessing. But I mean, for me, I'm just like, hey, God, take your time and hurry up. Okay, this is the last year. We're gonna,
this is the last year.
I said that, like, I don't or always give God an ultimatum, but hey, uncle, if you don't hurry up, then the contract we negotiated.
Have you tried Lagos Men?
Ebuka, we have to go.
Because you might be...
Ebuka, we have to go.
But your husband might be in Nigeria.
I am leaving, okay?
Your husband might be in Nigeria.
He might be. I'm here. We also have to go. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys get the book. It's going to be available.
Bamboozled by Jesus.
Yes.
Is out.
It's out.
It's coming very soon. Congratulations and everything on your television, movies, television series, and of course all the great things I know you're going to be doing.
All the great things.
And good luck with the deadline.
With my deadline?
He said he had give Jesus a deadline. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's like, hello, Jesus? Oh, yeah. When he's, okay, I'm going to meet him very soon. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I know he's here. And he has to be in therapy as well. He has to be processing all of his trauma because me and you.
Speak it into existence.
Yes, it's already been spoken.
Yvonne Orji, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Ebuka, for causing all the trouble in the world. You think you slick. Let me ask you one more question.
What? I still have a lot of questions.
I bet you do. I'm like, what? How long is this? Bye.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot for coming through.
You're welcome.
Bounce. The beat of the culture.